What's up, YouTube? So tonight we're gonna do a little string shootout. We're gonna go from what I feel is the worst to what I feel is the best. I'm gonna talk about some other stuff that I don't necessarily have, um, but basically this is gonna be the old string shootout. Um, So I know there's like 100 string plus maybe string brands, and I don't have them all here. I haven't tried them all, but there's maybe some that you've been curious about that I've probably picked up some of, and I don't know. Maybe this will help just comparing it to what you have touched and what you have seen and what you've been able to use. And tell me in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. But tell me in the comments if you know you if there's something I'm missing that I should try, if I like something else. But I definitely think there's a couple of these that you really need to look into and really need to try. And I'll put some applicable links in the description, so please check those out as well. Like I said, applicable links in the description. That's hard to get out. I'm gonna need more beer. Anyway, first set is the kind of generic white poly string that comes with a lot of Chinese and or Duncan, some of the like cheaper older Duncans like the Strix or whatever, whatever the poly string that you get that just doesn't. It's real thin. It's junk. This stuff. I know it's hard to tell. The thin white poly string comes with like Duncan stuff and comes in like you get extras of it when you buy like Magic Yo-Yos or Aldi Yo-Yos. It's junk. Don't use it. Sucks. Next is the you can get this stuff on Amazon. It's actually not bad for looping. Like if you're gonna loop with like a Loop 360 or something, it's actually very comparable to Yo-Yo Factory string. I don't know what this is called. It's just generic poly string from Amazon. It's green. It comes in like packs of 10 or something for like $2 or $3. It's actually not terrible for looping. It's a little short, so I mean, I guess if you're a kid and you are short, that might not be bad because it's kind of very much like the. It's like if you were to wind. If you were to wind like Yo-Yo Factory string a little tighter, that's kind of what this is for. Like I said, my only complaint is that it's a little short, but on looping yo-yos, it's worked pretty well for me, and it holds up okay. So that's fine. The only comment is it's a little short, and it's like $2 for 10 or 20, or maybe it's like 18 or something weird like that. But yeah, the next thing is the kind of generic colored strings you get. That's not the white stuff, the white junky stuff. I don't know why that's different, but it's different, and it's real bad. And I've never used one of them, but they're real bad. This is like sort of the generic stuff you get with like the Magic Yo-Yos. Like you get one nice soft. This is like this one. This is one nice big thick soft Magic Yo-Yo string that you'll get, and I think this is the stuff that they would consider Magic Yo-Yo string, because this is nice. This is like kind of like a kitty fat almost, but like softer. It doesn't really whip very well, and it doesn't last as long. It's really really soft. You get like one of these, and then you'll get like a bunch of this like coarser stuff that kind of almost feels like kitty regular but cheaper. So this is like kind of the little Magic Yo-Yo pack of strings, and these are okay. Like I said, they're not as bad as these, but they're better than they're not, maybe not better than this, but they're longer, so they're maybe a little bit more useful in that regard. Next is kind of a brand that you see sometimes, but it's sort of a house brand of Yo-Yo Sam, which is Zikio. I actually really like Zikios. I like their cotton and their 8 polycotton blend strings for fixed axle stuff, but they have 100% polyester strings too, Zikio strings, and they're pretty cheap. You can get them on Yo-Yo Sam. and probably some other places. You probably get them on Amazon. At least you used to be able to. But they're not terrible. Not quite as nice as like the Yo-Yo Expert stuff, which I'll get to in a minute. But they're okay. A little thin for my tastes. I think that's kind of my problem with them, is that they're just too thin. But they're decently soft, and that's they don't last particularly long, but th're almost free. I mean, they're so cheap. They're super cheap, and there's if you're in a bind, they're not in a bind. Get it? That's funny. They're not terrible. Next is also kind of a Yo-Yo Sam house brand. Yo-Yo Sam is the local Pennsylvania store, so if I buy something there, it's at my house the next day. I think I've said that before. These are snake bite strings. Now, snake bite strings come in a lot of really cool colors. As you can see, they're like different wines of stuff. They can be a little thin, kind of like the Zekio stuff, and they don't really last very long. But the colors are cool, and I appreciate cool color strings. I really do. So if strings are cool colors, I'll probably try out some. And these are also pretty cheap. So nothing terrible, nothing to write home about. Nothing like, oh man, I'm gonna switch to all these. They're not that great, but they're cheap and they come in cool colors, which is pretty cool. So not a terrible idea. To pick up some, you might like them. Maybe if you like thin strings. I don't like thinner strings personally. That's probably my biggest beef with them, is that they're kind of thin. But they play and they feel okay. Depending on what color you get, some of them are a little coarse. These green Diamondback ones are a little coarse, I think, but these ones are soft. These orange ones are soft. I don't remember what they're called. These blue ones are coarser though. So they once they break in, they're fine, but a little thin. So they have the pre-tied loops, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but at least it's clean. So that's good. Next is the tried and true, the Yo-Yo Expert contest string. This is not super cheap, but not terribly expensive. You could throw some of this on, your next order, Yo-Yo Expert, and it's perfectly good. This is also what you get more or less when you order like a one-drop yo-yo. This is kind of the Yo-Yo Expert contest string is basically what they put on their yo-yos. It's more or less the same stuff. Pretty decent. Can't complain about it. It works. Doesn't last forever. It doesn't last very long, but for what it is, it's not bad. It's a little thin. It's probably relatively the same thickness as Kitty Normal. Doesn't really last as long, but it's a little softer coming out of the gate than Kitty Normal is. Again, the loops are already tied. Not the biggest fan of that, but it's not terrible. And if a lot of times too is like I kind of keep this stuff in the bag at my bag that I'll take to Yo-Yo Club, and if one of the kids there needs it or something, it's not a bad thing to have to pull out, give to somebody, because it's not super short, it's not super long. So whomever you give it, and it's not super expensive, so whomever you give it to, or if you put it on something just to try out, because the store that is there has yo-yos to try out, but they don't always want to pull the box apart and take a string out for you. So you can always throw one of them on the yo-yo, and it's that you're trying out, and it's just fine. You're going to get a good idea of how the yo-yo plays. This string is not going to inhibit you or make a yo-yo play any worse than anything else would have. This will. Yo-yos play worse with this crappy white generic terrible string that comes with terrible. It's terrible. Throw these away. Why do I still have this? I'm gonna throw this away. Next, I'm gonna move on to Kitty. This is Kitty Normal. Kitty Normal is pretty tried and true. I have orange. I think the different colors play a little differently. I've said before, I think the yellow plays better than most of the other colors. But I have orange. I think orange is a cool color. The neon orange looks good. It's kind of glowing, just the way the light's hitting it right now. I think it looks cool. Easy to see for the most part. Comes in like neon colors. A little thin for me. A little too thin, actually. I wish I didn't have 100 of them, but it's not too bad, and it's nice for like some yo-yos have thinner gaps, and this works pretty well with that because thicker yo-yos or thicker string with a thinner gap is going to make your yo-yo pretty responsive. So if your yo-yo is kind of responsive because something's dragging on the pads, um, kitty normal is not a bad way to go. Buy 100, it'll probably last you the rest of your life because you want to buy fat and use that most of the time. Um, Moving on, sort of the standard, in my opinion, the string to which all other strings is generally compared is kitty fat. It's not the greatest string in the world. It's not the cheapest string in the world, but it's the most mediumest string in the world. That's just true. True story. It's a little coarse when you put it on, but it breaks in just fine. The thickness is right. It whips good, at least when it's new. It does. It doesn't last forever. Same thing with the kitty normal. None of these really last all that terribly long. Kitty normal doesn't last all that terribly long. In fact, sometimes you'll play with it for an hour or two and go, man, this is really frayed and is not holding up so good, not holding tension so well anymore. I need to throw that out and put a new one on. Depending on the climate too, or if it's muggy or whatever, sometimes it just doesn't last very long. But you know what? You get 100 of them for $20, and it's hard to beat that. It really is. Especially for just to have some bulk string around. I'm a big fan of having bulk string, particularly bulk yellow string. I just think it's good to have. I like putting a fresh string on things sometimes, and if you put a fresh string on it, it just makes everything feel clean and new and nice. And a lot of times just having this bulk kitty fat around is a nice way to go. So kitty fat, you probably didn't need to hear that much about that because I'm sure you've all got a big box of it sitting on a shelf somewhere. But anyway, the next one is actually, before we get to that, Buddha strings. Totally forgot to grab these when I was setting everything up for the video. Buddha strings are sort of the thickness difference between kitty normal and kitty fat. It's kind of like kitty chubby in thickness, I suppose. That's probably the best way to put it. They're cheaper than kitty strings, than all versions of kitty strings for 100. They've got some kind of a like waxy coating on them, and when you put them on, they feel pretty good. I feel like they don't last as long as kitty, at least to me. They are softer than kitty is, though, but they don't whip as well. At least for me. I'm sure most people are better at whips and slacks than I am, but I also don't feel like they last as long or hold their tension as well as kitty strings do, but they're also cheaper. So they're a pretty decent alternative to kitty strings. If anything is a decent alternative, I think Buddha strings are a decent alternative to kitty strings. They're probably not exactly as good, but they're not exactly as expensive either. So that's nice. My gripe is kind of they tie them off already, and when they tie them off, they kind of leave messy snips on the end, and that just looks ugly to me. I try to clean that up as best I can. They're long enough for me, but tying them off before, I'm not the biggest fan of. I'd rather tie my own slip knot and have the little bit of extra length because they tie a really big loop there. So moving on, the next one that I have is a toxic string. Toxic strings, I'm not sure if somebody is the parent company of Toxic Strings, but I know they're made in America. There's a ton of different kinds. You can get them on Yo-Yo Expert and Yo-Yo Sam. They may be a Yo-Yo Sam type owned brand. I'm not 100% certain about that. But they are sort of your premium type string. Now they're wound a little tight for me and they're a little coarse for me, but they last forever. Seriously, these things these things last so long. I think they're about $8 for a 10-pack though. Between $6 and $8 depending on what kind you get for a 10-pack, which is kind of expensive considering they're more or less, you can buy them in bulk and you can kind of get them a lot of places. They're a little coarse and wound a little tight. Let me see if I can show you how tight they are. But a lot of guys like that. I don't, yeah, like you could see, like I've unwound this a couple of times and it like really wants to twist back up, and it is like super tight. Like I don't think I can get this apart. Yeah, geez. Yeah, these don't want to come apart. That's kind of the other thing I don't like about them, and because that's so tough, they're really coarse. Once they break in, they're okay, but it takes a really long time to break these things in too. I only have one. I kind of I had a sampler pack, and I used a bunch of the different ones, and a lot of them I didn't like and threw away real fast because they just were, they felt wrong. But this is, I think, the Type E. Maybe not. Maybe it's like a Type C. I don't know. It's one of the types. Um, this one's okay. It's a little thick. It's a little thicker than. It's about the same thickness as Kitty Fat, but it's like wound tighter, so it doesn't like bounce back as hard. It's like just, it feels more like a rope. Um, but a lot of guys like that, and they whip incredibly. I mean, these things are like the whippiest, snappiest strings that you can get, I think, or at least that I've tried. Um, Hold their tension great because they're already wound tighter than anything else that I've ever touched, and they last an eternity. That being said, they tear my hands to pieces, so I don't prefer them. But some guys have alligator hands and hit them with a chainsaw, and that ain't gonna tear their hands to pieces. So try them out if you're that kind of guy. It's a little too coarse for me, but that's just me. Um, Next was my favorite for the longest time. This is Yoyo String Lab Type X. I really like how they have custom colors. This is the Ann Connolly Paint Party, and this is Butane Flame. I also like roasted red peppers. I think that's a good color too. And Ed Haponic has a signature color that's like a black and whitish. Might be a gray in there too. I can't remember, but I think their custom colors look really really good. And I'm a big fan of like multicolored strings. If you can't tell, big fan of like multicolored strings that that play good, and I feel like Yo-Yo String Lab they do a pretty good job of that, particularly in bulk. The Type X is I think $5, $5.50 for a 10 pack, and I think a 50 pack is like $20-ish, 19 and change maybe, or maybe it's like 22 or 23. But anyway, not terrible. Definitely lasts longer than Kitty String does, and is definitely nice and soft. My only real complaint with these is that because they're so soft, they really don't whip. Like they whip well when they're new, but once you kind of break them in, and they last a good long time, like before they start playing poorly. But once you kind of break them in and they get a little softer, they really don't whip that well, and or at least for me, and I'm not that good at it, so I kind of use all the help that I can get, and so for me it was sort of like, well, yes, they feel wonderful on my hands, they don't tear my hands up, and if I play for a long time, I'm not going to feel it. But at the same time, if I'm working on trying to learn some whip tricks, I'm really trying, guys. I know I kind of do the same tricks always, but I'm really trying to learn new stuff that I'm just not comfortable enough to put on camera yet, and it's I'm trying. The whip stuff is difficult to me because playing responsive for so long, going whips and slacks and all that stuff is my knuckles cringe still a little bit. It's been too long, so I'm trying, and that's probably my only complaint with these. But fresh and new, they play about as good as you could want them to play. Now, Yo-Yo String Lab does a couple of other types, and the thickness and tension's a little different on those. They do the ammo, which I believe is the JD signature. I think they've just kept it on because I know JD. I don't think JD still is with them, but maybe he is. Ammo, which is really thick. I don't have any ammo, but I've had one or two before, and it was just a little too thick for me, but it was similarly soft. I guess because it was so thick, it probably whipped a little better. That's the other thing. The thickness of this is sort of, maybe almost as thick as Kitty Fat, maybe not as quite. Maybe just like a hair thinner than that, but that just might be the softness playing in for me. But it's right around there. The ammo was really thick, much thicker than Kitty Fat. I haven't tried Kitty XL, but I would imagine it's somewhere in that realm. Um, and then the Venom, which I haven't tried. I've apparently Venom's a medium thickness string though. It's Eric Koloski's signature, and I think Eric Koloski's a great player, so it must be good string because Eric's really good, and I don't think he would use garbage string because he's a good player. But who knows? I've never met Eric. I'd like to though. He seems like a cool dude. Last but not least, sorry, camera died. Anyway, last but surely not least, my favorite strings. These are Zipline Yoyo strings. Link's going to be in the comments to Zipline strings. These were sent to me by a good friend, Jeremy Park. He is a wonderful person. I'm just going to put it that way. Not only is he a wonderful person, he's a wonderful string maker. He's a good businessman. He runs Park Audio, and he also likes to make yo-yo strings. And these are the best strings I've ever played with in my life. They just are. They combine all the good qualities of all the strings that I have here that I like, and they have no bad qualities. None. Not a single, I can't, there's nothing bad that I have to say about them. I've been using these for a couple of weeks now, almost, no, maybe not, about a week, almost exclusively. I've yet to wear one out, and they are far and away the best. They whip every bit as well as the Kitty Fats, and every bit as well as the Toxic, or these aren't Toxic. What are these? Anyway, every bit as well as any string I've ever played with. They whip just as well as that. They are super soft, just like the Yo-Yo String Lab stuff, and never seem to wear out ever at all. I haven't worn one out yet. I've been playing them for a week. I've got them on 3 or 4 yo-yos that get like an hour's worth of play every day. So some of these have 6 or 7 hours of play on them, and they're like I just put them on. Really, 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 really incredible stuff. Just incredible stuff. They come in 2 sizes, thickies and regs. These are thickies. These are regs. And thickies are good for big yo-yos with big gaps. Regs are good for everything else. Regs are pretty comparable to Kitty Fat as far as thickness is concerned. Thickies are not quite what the Yo-Yo String Lab ammo would be, but almost, like just a hair thinner than ammo would be. So good for like your really wide gaps, the horizon, the shutter, stuff like that. Regs are good for everything. Perfect. I know there's some strings that don't have. I know Epic strings get a lot of good hype. Haven't touched those. I know Cloud String. Everybody says they can't wear theirs out. It's a $4 string. I haven't touched one, but to me, the Zipline strings, and check them out in the description. Find them on Facebook. Are far and away the best. And luckily for you, you can go to Facebook and you can message Jeremy. I'm not sure how I don't think he's got it all set up for like click purchase yet, but I think you can still buy them from him, and you should. These are his slushy version that are currently available. Come in a couple of different really cool colors. I think you get 5. I might be wrong, but I think you get 5, and I can't remember what it costs, but it's not bad. It's like a good price. For like, I think it's a little bit, it's shipped. It's really good. It's a good price. Absolutely worth it. Because like I said, I haven't worn one out yet. So 5, for whatever you pay for 5, will last you longer than like 10 of anything else would last you. Just really, really good stuff. I think it's a good idea to check them out now, because soon he and I are actually working on some custom Throws and Brews colors. that we're going to have out pretty soon. So I'm pretty excited about those. So sorry to spill the beans. Sorry, Jeremy. I don't know if you wanted to spill the beans, but I'm gonna spill the beans. So there's gonna be some custom Throws and Brews Zipline yo-yo string colors coming out soon. They won't really be like this. They'll be a little different, a little more Pittsburgh and metal. Maybe not metal. I don't know if metal's the right way to put it, but soon we're working on them. So keep an eye out for that because I'll be so excited I won't be able to contain myself. But anyway, guys, that's it for me. Let me know. Are there any strings that I haven't tried yet that I don't have that I should look at? I feel like I've got a really wide variety here that kind of encompasses everything that's cheap and okay, and like everything that's sort of premium and nice. I know there's some in betweens that are kind of hard to get a hold of that I haven't tried, but I'd appreciate it if you checked out Zipline strings in the description. And keep an eye out because I'm gonna do some custom colors that'll be really fun. But thanks for watching, guys. 600 plus subscribers is a big deal. I want to thank everybody for subscribing, and I couldn't be happier. I'm having a good time, and I hope you are too. But thanks for watching, guys. Cheers to you, and I'll see you next time.